Hello, my name is Derek Su, Executive Coding Officer for KITE, and welcome back to the free KITE Python course. And today, I'll just be going over exercise 6 from chapter 4. And here are the instructions. Rewrite your pay computation with time and a half for overtime, and create a function called computePay, which takes two parameters, hours and rate. And here we can see an example of some input and output. And note that based on previous exercises, hours worked past 40 count as overtime, and they earn 1.5 times the hourly rate. So let's get started. I'm just going to start by creating two variables. One is hours, which I will get from the user as input, and I'll ask them to enter their hours, and that will be stored in the variable hours. And note that I'm going to convert this into a float so that I can do math with it later. I'm going to do the same thing for rate. I'm going to take it as input and convert it into a number. And now continuing with the instructions, I'm just going to create a function called computePay, and it will have two parameters as desired by the instructions called hours and rate. And I'm actually going to change the names of these variables so that they're different from the parameters just to avoid confusion. So I'm just going to abbreviate to H and R. And note that there are several different ways that you could write this function, all with different logic, and I'm just going to show you one method. So first, I'm going to check if the hours is less than or equal to 40. What this means is that the user did not work any overtime at all, and I can simply just multiply the hours and the rate together to get their total pay, since I don't need to do any extra calculations considering overtime. So that's simple. But what about if they did work overtime? So now I'm going to check. Well, actually, I'm not going to check. I'm just going to set pay equal to the first 40 hours times the rate. So far, their pay is just the same as if they just worked 40 hours and using the same formula here. But now I'm going to take that number and I'm going to add those overtime hours, which is going to be hours minus 40, times the rate, and then times an extra 1.5 for that overtime bonus. And then I can return pay, and that will be the total pay if the user did work overtime. So just going over this quickly, here, if the user did not work overtime, I can simply return the hours times the rate. And since return is placed here, none of this will run. As soon as a return statement appears, the function will leave and nothing else will run in the function. But in the case that the user did work overtime, it'll skip over this line since it's inside the if statement, and now jump down here and it'll calculate the first 40 hours, and then it'll add those overtime hours with the 1.5 bonus, and then it will return that number instead. So let's just complete this by printing pay, and the pay will be compute pay with the parameters h, or not parameters, the arguments h and r. And I'm going to have to convert this into a string so that I can concatenate with it. So all I'm doing here is saying that pay, I'm going to print pay, and then alongside that, I'm going to print the result of compute pay, taking these two initial variables, h and r, as arguments. So let's check it out. I'm going to run it. So first, I'm just going to copy this example to double check that we have the right calculations. So 45 and 10. And now you can see the pay is 475, just like the example. I'm going to do one more. In this case, I'm going to do one where the user did not work any overtime. So I'm going to say they only worked 10 hours and they only had a rate of 10, which would give us a pay of 100. So that's all for today. As always, you can join the Discord if you have any questions. Otherwise, have a great day.